to everyone watching and those listening. Today on 3 to 4 Minutes with a Duck, I have with us Master Sergeant Allen Clack, who is one of the first ducks I met when I joined the unit, and I'm particularly fond of. Sergeant Clack, would you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Sergeant Allen Clack. I've been in the Air Force for 20 years and 10 months, looking towards getting out in the next couple months here. Um, Also, my daughter wanted me to make sure that I introduced Huey.
Oh, nice.
He's her duck that she just recently got, and she thought he would be a very good addition to the chat today.
I like it. Thanks to your daughter and welcome, Huey. I'm glad to have you both, Huey and Sergeant Clack. So thank you for your time. Um, what is the most immature thing that you do?
Oh man, so many different things. Uh, I have a lot of teenagers, so poop jokes are pretty hilarious right now. They get a lot of street cred with my teenagers, I
Is that
guess.
something that you now conveniently have an excuse for because you have teenagers and has always been a thing, or is that something that's
Probably,
kind of
yeah.
more recent?
I wasn't as like funny when I was a kid, so now they think I'm funny. So it kind of like feeds that part of me. My wife, she just shakes her head a lot.
That's kind of how I am in my house too. My kids still think I'm funny, but my husband's over it. I think he's just heard all of my 10 jokes enough times that yeah, he rolls his eyes at me quite a bit. Uh, and I think poop jokes are probably we got a almost 8-year-old boy, so you know that's
Beginning
pretty
and end.
pretty standard around here. Yeah. Um, so this was asked before, but I'm asking you again, or I'm asking you because you shared a comment on the video relating to this. How do you feel about garden gnomes?
Garden gnomes, yeah. So we randomly have one. We find a lot of things in the woods outside of our house that may or may not have been, dumps at one time. Apparently, we have one. He's cool. He's creepy. I
Not as
wouldn't.
creepy as the like doll head that you have hanging
Yeah,
out that
which
you
also
just
came
neglected to
actually.
acknowledge.
Yeah, the doll head actually came out of our yard one day after like a heavy rain. It just was like there. So maybe
Any
it's
random it's haunted. Maybe any have you found any of the other body parts belonging to the doll?
no, no, no. We found there like a dog, like a rubberized dog bone, rubber dog bone came out of our yard as well. So our dog doesn't even like it. We try to play, hey, you got a free toy. She doesn't like it.
Add it to your display in your garden with your gnome, your creepy doll head.
Yeah.
um, what dumb accomplishment are you most proud of?
That's a good question. I'm not really good on the fly, which I should have thought of before I decided to do this interview. But I really like my wife. I've never been tested for OCD, but I really like when things are neat and squared away.
Yeah,
Don't look behind me at my office, but you'd be surprised. I know exactly where everything is.
that's
Even though
something
there's
I
like a mess of books and papers, I could just walk up and grab what I need out of any of it, and that makes me proud.
I'm glad that I consistently use the background and you can't see my office behind me, and especially the desk in front of me. You've been in my actual office before and you've seen that. Yeah, being OCD is not a problem I suffer from. Like I've just got stuff everywhere. But I'm like you where I know where everything is. It's just probably no one else can find it.
Yeah, I
It
think if
always
you looked
looks
at my
like
office, they wouldn't guess that I was OCD.
yeah, mine's my stuff. I'm a lover of post-it notes. Like I've just got post-it notes everywhere, and I usually have to. Sometimes I have to look a little bit. But I
I
usually
think I
know where
make
everything
messes
is.
because I like cleaning them up.
Oh, yeah. See, that's where we're absolutely different. I make messes. That's where it ends. Like I don't like cleaning them at all. I'm not. Yeah, I was in one of the other interviews. I mentioned watching hoarders on occasion to make myself feel better. I am just like clutter all the time. It mirrors what's going on in my head, I think. um, so I know you're extremely talented. You're an amazing artist, and I've seen that, and you're super creative. But I'm going to ask you this anyway. So don't mention drawing. Got it?
Okay.
If you could have any talent and be an expert at anything just by snapping your fingers, what talent do you wish you could have?
Ooh, wow. Okay. Um, Man, so I have like a huge fear. I guess I don't know if it's fear or just like anxiety that comes from like filling out paperwork. Like tons and tons of paperwork really, really like it really debilitates me almost to some points. So like if I had the ability to just not be afraid and fill out paperwork that I need to for whatever reason, that'd be awesome. I hate paperwork. It keeps me from like doing things I would rather literally. Of course, in the military after 20 years, you'd be like, "What? That's crazy." But yeah, I hate paperwork so much.
That's so interesting, because I don't mind filling out paperwork. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I like it because it's structured and I can't uh, screw it up generally. But I wish I was artistic. Like I wish I could draw. Like I can't draw a stick figure to save my life, even if I'm using a ruler. So that's interesting. I like it. All right, let's do one more question, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Okay.
I like this one. I've asked it before, but I'm gonna ask it again. What's something that you hate but you wish you loved?
Hmm.
And don't say filling out forms. We
No,
already
yeah.
used that one.
Already used that one. I think
Yeah.
it's more poignant right now since I'm getting ready to retire and there's like
Yeah.
all
Oh
these.
man, all the paperwork, right?
Um, I guess I gotta say like historical dramas because like I like history a lot. I like trying to figure out the way why things are the way they are and things like that. But historical dramas always bug me. My wife likes them too, so she would love it if I liked them with her instead of just making fun of them the whole time. But yeah, I can't get into them because just I know it's Hollywood. I know there's like things that are highlighted and things that are taken out and it's changed. And like I guess I'd like a dry, more PBS style historical drama maybe, but I really still can't get into it. But I wish I liked him.
Uh, yeah, I wish I liked history more. Like I wish I would have taken history more seriously when I was younger. I mentioned that I told you I was talking to Major Ennett yesterday, and he's an instructor at the Naval Academy, and he's a history major, and he's teaching history. And I
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
it's the one thing I'm like, as a grown up, like people, especially being in the military, I'm dumb when it comes to history, and I feel like I wasted a bunch of time as a younger person not being smart on it. So I might use historical dramas as a crutch to catch up. But
Hey, that's fine. I think they're probably accurate enough sometimes, depending on where you're getting your historical dramas from.
I do prefer like documentary style, like accurate, recollections of stuff. PBS was doing some really cool, maybe it was PBS, where they recreate old war footage but in color
Oh
and
yeah,
interview war heroes. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I do like the documentaries and the History Channel stuff. Just like the dramas themselves, I can't get into it.
I'm a huge fan of Drunken History or Drunk History from Comedy Central, and I think that's how I've probably caught up on some of my missed history knowledge.
I have learned some things from documentary for sure. Oh,
We
I
should
didn't
do
know.
an episode of that. We should do a 34th IS Drunk History episode. I'll call you because you're the expert, and I'll
Oh,
drink.
I'll do my.
All right, Sergeant Clack. Now it's time for you to share any parting words with those watching or listening.
Okay, I guess to be relevant, I guess I've been thinking a lot about the quarantine, right? There's been a lot of things online and people posting like, "Hey, if you're struggling, do this," or "Hey, here's a way to cope. Here's a way to get through." But I've been kind of surprised and happy and hopeful because I've seen a lot more people that are kind of thriving in a new way through this time. And I'm wondering if when we look back on this in 10 years or so, we're going to see like that it was maybe a positive for our culture in some ways. So I know that there's like the unemployment rate and there are people suffering and there's some hard parts as well. But I really am I'm happy to see like the creativity, honestly, and the ingenuity and the people doing different things. And maybe it's a positive, there's some positives that I've seen as well. Like people maybe don't need as much help as we think they need through this time. That maybe they're actually doing better now because there's some things that are out of the way. So that's just something that's been striking me a lot lately. So it makes me happy. And then we have things like this where, hey, this has never happened before. And now it's a really cool thing.
I appreciate that. That's sweet. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think, um, it's unfortunate because there are people suffering and definitely not good things that come out of a global pandemic, as you can understand. But I think
Right.
I've had the same, experience, both social media, interacting with folks in the unit, people outside of the unit, personal friends, family, that it's kind of heartwarming or reassuring to see that people are all kind of looking for the positive aspects and what do we do different now that we should keep doing, you know, as we go back to whatever normal looks like. I think I said when I was talking to Major Ennett yesterday, because we were talking about the technology aspects of the positive, like the Air Force and the, increasing the ability to telecommute and all the other things that we've had to force CVR, all that other stuff to be able to work through this. And we were talking about those positives. And I said, I don't know where I was going. I like totally spaced out.
I find it interesting to think like we built our cities so tall because everyone has to be there, but now they're like maybe everyone doesn't have to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, what's
Yeah.
the future landscape going to look like when people are just staying at home and working?
Yeah. And we were talking to one of the flights yesterday, and, some airmen jumped in and said, "Hey, I've been extra productive working from home. Like without the distraction of what's going on at work, I've been super, super productive. I want to telecommute on occasion going forward." Oh, I know what I was going to say. That what I said to Major Ennett was, I hope we don't go back to normal. Everybody talks about like going back to normal, and I hope we don't, because if we go back to normal and what it looked like, day prior to pandemic and all the change, then we didn't learn anything. So I think, whatever the new normal looks like, I hope we bring all these positive things with us. Obviously fix the negatives that may have happened along the way, but and I hope we don't go back to taskers and
Yeah.
and
What is
meetings
normal
that
anyway?
can,
Right?
yeah. Um, but I appreciate you focusing on the positive, and especially being aware that some people may need help. But I've had the same perception as you, that the first couple weeks were real tough. But I think people are finding, the good things about what's different now. So,
Yeah, definitely.
well,
I miss
awesome.
that. That's gonna be fun. Getting back
You
to
would
like
say?
shaking hands and hugging people will be nice eventually. Maybe in the future. That's one thing I do hope comes back.
We had, so that was what was funny yesterday. We had a conversation. It was in chat, and I was zooming from work, so I couldn't see all the chat. But there was a whole conversation going on about, do you think we'll never shake hands again? And uh, me not being super smart on history, like we talked about, I said something about how I had read the origin of a handshake was to show that your enemy, like show your enemy that you weren't carrying a weapon, and that you
Right.
would shake because then like hidden weapons would fall out of your armor or whatever. um so then Jace, who's the weirdest person on the planet, he's like, well, maybe the handshake will turn into kissing. And I was like, whoa, what? And he's like, well, if you're shaking hands to prove that you're not a danger to your enemy because you're not holding a weapon, maybe you kiss someone to show that you're not contagious and don't have COVID. I was like, look, man, please don't start kissing people when we go back to work.
Yeah, that's how you become filters.
So I don't mind if we never handshake again. But if the only other option is kissing, then yeah, handshakes. Bring back the handshake.
Back the handshake.
And now I'm afraid to see Jace at work after all this is over.
Well, hopefully he doesn't try to start the trend before it's time.
Yeah, Jace, if you're listening, no kissing. Just stop. Leave that at home. All right, Alan, thank you. I appreciate it. I had a great time, and I hope you have a wonderful
Oh yeah, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it too. You're awesome.
day. Thanks.